Hey guys, today we're trying the Hayseed Night. And they've got... Oh yeah, so this is the demo you can use to play the first 2 chapters for free, and they currently have 4 chapters out, and I think they're saying they have 1 more chapter and an epilogue planned, so it's dangerously threatening to be a furry visual novel that it's actually finished, being, that'd be like the 4th one ever. Tell me about content. No, we'll be fine. We're probably not going to reach them anyway in our little preview that we're doing. I believe we've already said this.
Holy horns! What's with this place? It's ancient. Are you sure we're allowed to be here?
You're allowed to be anywhere as long as no one finds you. Sneaking through forgotten cracks in a wall is not as easy as it once was, but I still managed to push my hat and my staff in somehow without wrecking the wall any further. Today's a mess, and the last thing I'd want is this whole city knowing that I'm back on my nonsense. Namely, helping fawns trespass into abandoned temples in pursuit of fixing the written lies that pass as history these days. Look at it. It's just a bundle. I'm too old for this rubbish. I catch a glimpse of Lynn's expression as I push my scarf over my face again. My newest headache looks entirely unconvinced by my logic. Look, we're already here. And you're gonna need all the help you can get, kid. I don't have time to explain every single little thing to you. If said kid still has any qualms left about following me here, she has the rare decency not to voice them. I mean, this whole ordeal is her fault, in a very roundabout sort of way, where it's probably my fault or something. Still her fault nonetheless. There's a lot of rapid-fire unique art. It's anyone's but mine, at least. I didn't come all the way back to the city to do charity for his descendants. I just wanted to find this dumbass's grave and clean up a little, or leave some incense or something. Not this. I wasn't looking to hear legends about any so-called knight of the Upperfield. I know the books in this library won't say a word about him, but I had to come back to this place anyway. The unlikely possibility of finding a trace of his existence among the broken tablets and burnt codices was far too compelling to ignore. Here I am, still following in his footsteps, like the few unlucky scripts that time and thieves spared, frozen in their shelves as they await the return of someone who will understand them. We have a lot in common, this library and I. The kid's eyes open a fraction wider, and I only managed to narrowly avoid the incoming onslaught of questions. Here, ink, paper, you can write, right?
Of course! You're talking to the fastest!
Shut up, Acazhor.
Sheesh, you're really adding some flavor to my name, huh? Where did all that salt come from? Or could that be the sweetness of an old flame leaving such a bitter aftertaste?
How do you get from Lynn to Acazhor? Ew. No, don't do that. It makes you sound like your mother. I mean, her mother. Or her great-great-great-grandmother? Yeah, you are very too old for this. Ugh. I can't believe the story is derailed this much. How long have I been gone?
I can't even start to guess if you won't tell me how old you are.
I'm entirely too old to care about something as dumb as numbers.
Well, gee, I'm starting to see why you wanted me here. Do you have a name, or are you too cool for letters too?
My name would only doom this project. You will be me, and I will be nothing more than the space between words.
What a droll way to say you want me getting lynched for this.
I can still keep the story to myself and tell you to get lost, kid.
But you won't, because after hearing my name, you realize I'm the chosen gazelle that legend of old prophesied would tell the true story of the night, right?
She's just vibrating.
I could use a little encouragement here, not gonna lie.
Listen, Lynn, I don't believe in chosen ones, and I certainly don't know what the truth is. I doubt Ader himself ever knew. But I'm gonna tell you the story I know. I will tell it once, and I will probably get it wrong. And I will probably tell it wrong, since I can barely remember it anymore. But even so, anything I say will be 1,000 times more accurate than any of the odes this witless bunch of fop-doodles have been singing about the ages. Through the ages, blah blah blah. I'm throwing it out the window, going off script. I'm crazy. This may be Ader's punishment for lying his way into history, but I still can't let the name of a friend be smeared like that. So what I mean is to say that I will skewer you if you interrupt me and make me forget something.
There.
She finally shuts up for a moment, though I know the silence won't last. Right. Good. I guess I should put my own thoughts in order before we begin. His story started back when he left this village. No. His village, blah 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 blah. I'm messing up. His story started back when he left his village to... No, that'd be too long. His story starts when he became a knight, and... No, that defeats the point. I guess his story... Well... I guess his story starts with me. I could allow myself that much merit, right?
Who are you again?
I'm the one who tells the story. You right. Okay. Alright, here we go. Chapter 1. Ooh, meta. Chapter 1, The Fickle Queen, or what better way to start a story than when things are about to go south? Yeah.
Ader. Hey, lad. Do we have to go through this every single fuck?
No!
Oh boy. Here we go.
A beast! I saw a beast!
Way to call me an eyesore.
I'm telling you, I saw a beast.
Right. Look, I'm not drunk enough for this, so good.
This ain't no time to sleep. The beast may be gone, but the Acazhor is still out there. The forest out there has come to find me.
Can you stop screaming like an idiot and use your brain for a second?
I knew they'd get to the city one day. We gotta tell everyone.
There are no damn trees around, you dimwit!
Shh. Is this game just fully voiced outside of the narrator? That just sounds like a fun thing to do, like just to sit there and try to voice characters for this long. A long shush followed right after. Or that's what we'll go with, since the words their dear neighbors used were too colorful to be reproduced.
Oh, then what did you holler for, Mr. Ballard? The sun ain't up yet. If you don't quit your whining, we're gonna get a beating.
Says you, the buck who hath been delighting mine ears with his pitiful wailing all night long.
Say what?
You've been talking in your sleep again.
It's not my fault.
I know darn well when I'm dreaming, and that wasn't no dream. No, sir. But even if it was, it ain't like I can control my nightmares. When you live with someone, you gotta take the good with the bad, you know?
Then give me a minute to reconsider if taking you in was really such a great idea.
Those eyes are staring daggers.
Come on, Mr. Bart, don't be ugly. Who carries you home when you empty a barrel and you start to beeline? Me. Who convinces Eligrab to let you out of the dungeon when you mess up and he catches you? It's your friend Shorthorns over here. 'Cause we're friends, right?
My dear bumpkin, emotional blackmail is hardly a fair tactic.
If he didn't have short horns, he'd be really struggling with doorways at that height.
Wait. Fair? Fair. Fair? Oh, 3.
Don't.
The fair!
I swear to Bite, kid, if you keep screaming, I'm going to kill you.
Not if they get to me first!
And so, Ader's heavy hooves stomped the ground with the force of a stampede as he sprinted away, making making Gyoff regret every decision that led to him suffering this torment.
Glad we sorted that out.
Gyoff. Did they pronounce it out loud? I'm not sure. I'm just gonna hope it's what I think it is. Knowing my luck, it's Jeff. It's like the 50th weird spelling of Jeff, like Geoff. Wide awake now and running as fast as his clumsy hooves would let him, Ader set off to the bazaar. A whole year had come and gone since he'd first set foot in the streets of Slander District, the most infamous slums of the capital. Aptly named, I guess. A place so heinous that walking there alone at night was considered a suicide attempt. A place where you were in your right to keep a house if you could outlast its previous owner. Where he'd once felt like a poor fawn fearing for his life, now he felt like a poor deer fearing for his life. Big change. You get older, anxiety stays the same, but at least he actually knew his way around after such a long time avoiding brigands. He had no time to spare worrying about trivial matters such as being robbed or stabbed, for he knew full well that he was to meet his destiny.
The patron's gonna skin me alive!
A destiny which most likely didn't really include being flayed by the dearest emperor. Though he can't rule out the possibility of his direct superior whacking him in the head for oversleeping on such an important date.
What if she hates me now? Then patron won't have no problem kicking me out. He'll kick me out and keep my skin as a payment. Nah, that's dumb. But he'll kill me anyway. Oh, crap.
So immersed was he in these fatalistic thoughts invading his head that his brain, which was, by all accounts, mostly made up of sawdust, didn't pay any mind to the path his hooves were following. And so, as is to be expected from someone not heeding the wise advice, look where you're going, he soon met the first obstacle on his way to the plaza. A wall.
Dear.
In any other place, that soft chuckle would have meant that Ader wouldn't have the benefit of living with his failures alone. In the slums, it could mean that he wouldn't have the benefit of living at all.
That was almost impressive. I truly thought that you were going to run straight through that wall for a moment.
The voice got closer by the second, followed by a strangely harmonic tinkling, a melody that danced in his ears and paralyzed his mind, rendering him frozen in the spot at the thought of an incoming murderous lady. Ader shut his one remaining eye and held his breath deeply, knowing that it would be the last. Not dead yet. Still not dead. How come he was still alive? That's just rude. Between his blurry sight and the obfuscating darkness, Ader could barely tell apart the silhouette standing right in front of him. He should have run and screamed and begged for his life, but instead, he hesitated long enough for a few stray sun rays to wander among the rundown houses, finally casting light upon his foe.
Whoa!
For your information, everyone already thinks that Rosa thick-skulled. We don't need another martyr for the cause.
There's your great to the power of who knows what grandmother. Ader's absolute lack of reaction made her mocking smile falter. To be fair, he had indeed left a sizable hole in the wall he'd just crashed against, but that was hardly the cause for his sudden drop in mental speed.
Are you okay?
Ader nodded, though he hadn't really heard the question. Sensing this, the mysterious lass extended a soft hand towards him in an amiable gesture. Take her hand or play it cool. He has gargantuan mascot platformer hands.
What are those?
Oh, are we calling attention to that?
I know they're short. Please don't stare.
What kind of nonsense is that? I'd never seen hands like those before.
My hands? You like my hands?
Were you born with them? How much weight can you lift? Can you use tools at all? Or wear a shirt? What's wrong with your neck? Is that a hood or a scarf? I love the pattern, by the way. So,
I'm sorry, ma'am. What was the question?
You? What are you supposed to be?
Oh! Well, I'm just your run-of-the-mill prairie buck, man. Just, my mom gave me shovels for hands and a gourd for a neck. They're better for working the fields.
Oh, come on. I want the actual story.
You want the boring bits? Okay. See, I used to be all big and strong. But then I come to the city and what do you know? The food ain't so easy to come by. I was so hungry that I'd even eat the rocks in the street. And I'd go to bed hungry one night, and another, and I'd keep on starving till I end up 2 meals short of turning into a walking pile of bones. Except for my hands. They just won't get. And they're for real heavy, let me tell you.
My hands just won't shrink. They're too big. They won't make them chill out. Let's yeah. Let's bring the voices forward in the mix a little bit.
So, that's the gist of it. You want to hear about my neck, too? Or my name, at least?
The girl's eyes narrowed as she stared at Ader. I just want to say Adair. Because of like Pillars of Eternity, I guess? Did I mute the music? Maybe? I swear it was already set to like this much, wasn't it? Maybe I imagine. Anyway. I think this particular instrument might just be kind of loud. But I set it to like 0 on accident. The girl's eyes narrowed as she stared at Ader. He fixed his gaze on his hands, considering the strange path the conversation had taken.
So what you are saying is that you used to be plump?
Plump? Like a fruit? Well, I used to eat a bunch of fruit before I came down here last year, yeah.
Last year? Wait, how many eyes did you have then?
Oh, he's dumb as a rock.
How many? 5, I think, but I lost the other 4. Just the one, ma'am.
I knew it. You've changed a lot, but it's you. You're that loudmouthed one-eyed chub.
Say what?
Rude.
It's me. Don't tell me you've forgotten me.
Gyoff had warned Ader multiple times about the dangers of the "it's me" scams, but he was pretty tempted to fall into this one.
Ma'am! I don't know what you're selling, but I ain't gonna buy it.
Come on. Don't you remember that night on the bridge under Hirab's statue? With the guards laughing at you? You didn't hit your head that hard, did you?
I bet those guards had one haystack of a night laughing at some poor buck. And I'm pretty darn sure that wasn't me. I'd remember you. Trust me.
It was a pretty long time ago, but... Wait, I know.
She bit her lip just long enough to make Ader lose his need to understand the situation anymore. Oh, wow. That easy, huh?
Come closer.
She is described as the stunning beauty. Who, me? Almost asked the deer, yet there was no one else hiding in the mists of dawn.
I said come closer.
All right then, here I come.
That's it? Come on, don't make me walk over there. Boop. That's close enough.
She slipped right under Ader's arm, uninvited, but not unwelcomed.
Now, if you could get on your knees, you know what? Maybe you should see a doctor after all.
Joseph! There you are!
Oh, more yelling.
Ugh, give me a break.
In less than a blink, her smile was back on her face as she turned to face the voice in the distance. It was some other doe in similarly flashy clothing, hurriedly stomping her way towards... Jasif, apparently.
You called?
We've been looking everywhere for you!
And so you found me. Congratulations. Now, if you don't mind...
Miss Rochelle's had us searching for hours! She wants you back immediately!
Well, I'm kind of busy, so would you be so kind to go tell her to find someone else to bother while I catch up with my friend here?
The fair's about to start! Head back already or you'll get us all in trouble!
The red-haired girl stood completely still. She held her breath for an instant.
I'm sorry. Was that an order?
What? Miss Rochelle said...
Say, do you know what happened to the last wench who had the gall to order me around?
Her text title, her name in the dialogue is just some wench. Jasif's smile was still plastered on her face, but her eyes had narrowed down to a squint, sharpening her long eyelashes even further.
I don't...
Care to find out?
The doe looking for her stammered, color draining from her ooh. After a few tense seconds, a pleased smile spread across Jasif's face.
Come now, honey. Don't make that face. I'm just joking here. I've got too much going on as it is to begin picking fights with my sisters. Don't you think?
Right.
Then that's settled. Let's go.
Jasif whipped her braids as she turned around sharply, making the choir of bells that hung from her hips announce her leave. Ader just barely a second to register what had happened. He could swear something had moved in a corner, but he couldn't care less. The finest lass he'd laid eyes upon in his whole life was about to disappear, and she seemed to have forgotten all about him. Facing the prospect of never seeing her again, he tried at the very least to catch up to introduce himself formally. Whatever he was late for, just completely forgotten, apparently.
Yes?
But as Ader was about to speak, he had the same feeling of missing something. And so his gaze drifted, following her back once more. He noticed something else moving behind her derriere. Something long, like a whip, ending in a red tuft of fur. Is she a gazelle and a lion? Something that most definitely didn't look like a cervine tail. Confused, his eyes quickly traveled from the zone where her back lost its name to the top of her head. It's a way to describe things. Praying. Wishing. Desperately hoping he wouldn't find that he found what he found sprouting from the top of her red head. Horns. Coiled black barren horns. Longer than his own rack. How did you miss those? They were very prominent from the front. Ader had to hold back a yelp. He'd been so distracted by the rest of her features that... No way, I wasn't looking at her. Yeah, Ader yelled internally. Beads of sweat began falling from his temples as his face became even more flustered. There's no way But as if meaning to aggravate his inner turmoil, Jasif smiled one last time with a mischievous glint in her eyes.
Don't worry. I'll see you around, handsome.
Ader was so many things. He was goofy. He was loud. He had a smile that could light up the whole town. He was gigantic. And yet, if there was a thing he'd never call himself, it was, no doubt, handsome. After all, a buck's worth may as well be as large as his horns are, and his were, well, tiny, almost childlike. So that offhand compliment, that mere insinuation of something found him actually quite... that mere insinuation that someone found him actually good-looking made his heart flutter. And by flutter, I mean it may as well have burst out of his chest right then. So for just 1 second, he forgot the lady in front of him was horned. For a moment, he forgot all the things he'd heard about gazelles. And now I'm trying to remember, like, is this gender? Are we talking gender? Do female gazelles not have horns? Do female gazelles have horns? All antelope have horns, both females and... Okay, there we go. I thought we might have been hinting at something by having the him realize that the character has gazelle horns while presenting as female, because there are some creatures that only have horns if they are male. But no, incorrect. So it's just something about gazelles we don't know yet, just as a group, I guess. His face turned red, his jaw came loose, and had he been able to articulate, he'd have found he'd completely forgotten the ability to talk. He still knew how to do one thing, though. Run. Wordless heartbreak? This time, his shame was stronger than the wall.
Wait, what? Stop right there. What was that last bit?
The bit about the wall or the Oh, I see. Ruminants haven't always been so successful at living together as they are now. Wars, gods, horn shape, all the excuses to be different used to make a lot more sense to mortals back then.
Oh, I know that, but there's no way the knight would have thought something so awful.
Ader was young. Ader was a young, insecure stag in a time when even Roe felt the need to deny having a single drop of Baran blood in their veins. Why would he think any different?
Why wouldn't he? That's the point, isn't it? That he was different from the rest. How could he believe any of that crap?
How should I know? I never had anything against gazelles.
Sounds like you weren't a whole lot bothered by those who did, though.
Damn, called out. You're right. I wasn't. I just thought that there always had to be someone to punch down on, and I spent all my energy making sure that would never be me. That was the world as I saw it, and I never hoped it could be any different. Never wanted it to change. Ader, though, I think he never meant to do that to anyone. I think he just hadn't realized that there was more to the world than the fears he had been raised with. He had to butt heads with more than one type of wall in his life. I could be wrong, of course. His understanding could have been yet another pretense. He may very well have lied about wanting to fight with the rest of us until his very last breath. No, I'm sure he did grow to be a wise and kind man, Lynn. Much wiser and kinder than I ever was, at least. Neither of us would be here making excuses for that dumbass otherwise.
Well, I don't care about you, but he'd better rise up soon. I have high-quality standards for my ancestors.
I'm glad you do, kid. Now where were we? The sun was already up in the sky by the time Ader managed to remember that he was supposed to go to the bazaar.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to arrive so late. Please don't kill me.
But lo and behold, there was no one around.
What do you know? First again. I'm gonna have to ask for a raise at this rate. Oh, hold up. Now ain't the time for that. Andy could get here at any...
It ain't a minute.
Ha! Gotcha. You're gonna end up giving someone a heart attack if you don't quit sneaking up on people like that, you know. Right. Don't you think for a second I forgot I was supposed to prepare the stall. No, ma'am. But, you know, days are getting longer, and it's harder to sleep at night, and the streets are real crowded, and...
That attempt to look angry is devastatingly cute. It's not working. Anna's silent glare told him that she didn't believe a single word, but she didn't care enough to pry either.
Hey now! Quit giving me that look, missy! You got here late too.
The sockets got even darker. She pointed at her hair. Drops of silvery green water were dancing on her tips, painting the ground beneath them.
And how is it my fault that you were busy dyeing your hair?
Leaving him with that perfectly valid question unanswered, she walked back to pick up a big bag she'd left a few steps away. She lifted it up with a single hand and then headed towards the stall, closely followed by Ader. It was about time they began working. A sudden thought popped up in Ader's mind as he helped her set up their carpet.
So, how come the patron ain't here? It's just gonna be the two of us today?
Ina simply shrugged.
You won't tell your pa I got here late, right, boss?
She punched his arm with such strength that she almost made him fall sideways.
Ow! What did I... Oh, tail. Sorry, boss.
This little reminder that that was a sensitive issue effectively killed the conversation. Such a goofy quirk of English that is ever a valid sentence, but it is a lot all the time. People from all over Earlum began congregating in the bazaar, turning the walled plaza into a sea of spice, trinkets, and deer. The currents of that sea were still difficult to understand for Ader, who found himself pushed into, to the ground in the busiest hours. Today would be especially lively. It was the beginning of the dawn-soon season, and so the festive Ecane had to make sure to build a proper farewell to the rain clouds, so they'd be back again by the end of it. A pleasant change from Ader's usual day-to-day, working in Ana's forge under the continuous risk of suffering a heat stroke or third-degree burns. I'm getting this hesitation in each sentence because I'm like second-guessing the pronunciation of the name because I'm like, shit, how did I hear it that time? Damn it, I'm immediately like losing it. Well, that's what he thought at first.
Welcome, welcome! We got the best prices in town! Come on and see what goods we offer!
There was no reaction whatsoever to his incessant yelling. Other than Ina snickering at him for trying so hard, that is.
Sure must be fun watching me break my back so your dad won't yell at us.
What is she? She's got tall ears, ambiguous muzzle, and she has fangs. With a long sigh, Ina sat up and cast a tired glance over the carpet. She reached out and grabbed a small, shiny dagger. The eyeshadows. After checking its sharpness against her glove, she began stabbing the air as possible customers approached the stall, attempting to showcase its intended use. Ader quickly put... Another thing I keep having a moment of hesitation while I'm talking, because fucking... It doesn't look like it'd be pronounced Ader. And so I keep thinking I'm wrong for a second, even though I know I'm right when I say it. Ader quickly puts his hands over his shoulders, discreetly bringing her arms down.
You know what? Nah, take that back. There ain't no deer in the world that works harder than Ana of the test. There just ain't. A hard worker like you deserves a good rest every once in a while, so just let me take care of this, boss.
He did his best attempt at a natural smile. Ana, who couldn't care less about any of this, simply shrugged and sat back, still wielding the knife. I don't know, what's up with me today? I guess I'm just, like, anticipating slightly different phrasings of every sentence, and so I might go, like, autopilot in the wrong direction, then catch myself too late. She let herself fall on one of the stones that paved the bazaar, and effortlessly tore it from the ground, deciding that it'd serve better as a sharpening tool.
You do you.
It was best to leave the issue alone. Ader had figured out quite some time ago that Ina was a creature of habit, and her habits included steadfastly refusing to put any efforts into anything she didn't care about, but it never really bothered him at all. There was something fascinating about watching her get completely absorbed by whatever task she had chosen to focus on, really. Ader never quite had that level of dedication to his craft, if he even had one. She could hammer tirelessly at a single hunk of metal for hours at a time, if the piece required so, all the while judging Ader's every move with the same intensity. She was just as capable of sitting in a corner and glaring away the hours while she sank deep into her own imagination. That's why he immediately knew something was off, when she turned her face away from the dull knife of her own accord.
Huh? What's wrong, boss? Wait, is that... Oh, no, don't tell me he's coming this way!
You said tell again, you're gonna get decapitated. The boob window priests are here. What are we gonna do? Ina wasn't going to tell him either way, but coming this way, he was. He being Ader's worst one-sided nightmare. The almotation of Earlum's I wasn't ready for more. Suit, Tailid the treasurer. Wow, that's a gauntlet. Followed by his pale retinue. Ader didn't even have time to yelp before the merchant among merchants politely announced his presence with an ancient greeting.
Tisakirmat, misfits. I'm aware of how hectic the stall must be today, so I won't keep you long. I simply realized what a rare occasion it is to see you out in a crowd, so I thought I would take a moment to come and pay my respects to you. I hope you'll find some solace seeing a familiar face among the hustle and bustle.
He's got like the handsome Louis face. And his eyes turned sharply away from Tailid, closely accompanied by the tip of her knife. The stag's head followed the motion, only to find the eerily immobile set of deer waiting by his side.
I understand the apprehension you feel towards my company, but I'm afraid these are the only escorts I can ever trust with my back anymore. It's a dangerous world out there for people like me. Speaking of which, where's your father? Has he considered my latest proposal? Or will I have to send any more of my people his way?
Ader didn't miss the way Ina's fingers clenched around the dagger she was sharpening. Distract him.
Holy whores! Check out that buck's grapevine, boss! It's gotta be the biggest tree I've seen in my life from root to branchlets. Darn! That shrub's worth a fortune, I'm telling you. And trust me, I'm Chanchurian born and raised. I know a thing or two about giant trees.
I'm gonna need you to run that pronunciation by me like 5 more times if it's gonna come up ever again. Whoa. Ana didn't bat an eye at the interruption, while Tailid didn't even seem to hear him. Their bizarre staring contest remained strictly a two-person business. Ader never was one to give up so easily, however.
Yep, sure'd be nice if we could have a plant like that dragging our stuff around. Oh, it's a real shame the patron don't plan to bother showing up today. We could have tried to convince him together.
Wait, do trees carry things?
Whoever buys that tree is going to show the world he's a deer with class. Ain't that right, ain't it?
Ader needn't do anything remarkable, then put a hand on Ana's shoulder to make Tailid shoot a look in his direction at last. It was but a brief glance, a glance best reserved for a slug crawling up your leg, a glance so scalding it could make weeds wilt and crumble to dust within seconds. The kind of glance that would normally precede the untimely death of an elongated yellow stag. As Ader's luck would have it, however, recognition set in the merchant's gaze just at the right moment. An unsettling half-smile formed as in his face instead.
Ah, yes. I remember you now. Geoff's little paramour. The oversized one-eyed fawn that wanted to be a knight. 1 Durandun for a full set of armor was what you requested, if I'm not mistaken.
Nope. Sir, I never dare say you're mistaken, but I doubly not dare say so when it comes to numbers. Imagine it. Poor farm boy could barely count trying to tell the Tailid how money works. Darn, just thinking about it cracks me up. No, sir, I can't. I just can't believe for one moment the most famous loner in all of Heirloom would be so kind to remember a dumb buck's dumb dreams, much less his ugly friggin' mug.
Of course. I never forget a face, no matter how weathered or insignificant. That'd be remiss of me.
Tailid nodded to himself thoughtfully, giving Ader a chance to discreetly crawl behind Ana. Despite the yellow stag's desperate inner pleas, Tailid's eyes soon shifted towards him again.
Forgive my curiosity. I just can't help but wonder. How can a country boy with ambitions as great as yours go on living, day after day, knowing he can't aspire to more than his deplorable life? Geoff can barely stay sober enough to feed himself, never mind someone twice his size. It must be exhausting, staying alive.
Class.
Oh, no, not at all. We manage. Sorta.
Tailid's soft features drew closer to Ader. but he barely even noticed. His only eye remained glued to Tailid's bodyguards.
It's not too late to consider the offer I made you back then. Let me put those deformed hands of yours to better use. I could give you the armor and the money to pay for it now, if you come work for me in the sewers. It won't be much worse than whatever the blind witch has you doing.
Wow, you really are insufferable every time you speak, huh?
That's mighty kind of you, Mr. Tailid, but it's poor manners to consider job offers in front of your own boss.
You make a fair point. Perhaps once I've torn that red scab off our guild's back then.
Oh,
Aina.
what a nightmare. Oh, look at how they move. Ah. Tailid finishes his farewell with a bow, and thus left the moneylender at last, followed by the delayed rhythm of a calcerous march. Ader's body had somehow contorted into being nearly indistinguishable from Aina's at this point. Aina, damn it. Getting to Aina, because Ein is German pronunciation for, yeah. He needed a few more seconds to thaw out of that position.
Divine beeswax, I'm crawling out of my skin here.
I just thought it was a stylized design choice. I wasn't expecting everyone to comment on his hands constantly.
Who the hell you laughing at now, huh? That weirdo ain't no joke, you hear me? Last time I talked to him, it only took me shoving my hoof in my mouth half a second to swish, get a blade on my neck. And all I could see out of this eye was the creepy face of one of those golem...
Trying to remember what they think make me think of, and I think it's the last time I tried to draw Where Garurumon. His at least the version I was looking at it for a reference, his hands just widen from the elbow to the wrist all the way into the hand, which is common. There's actually a fair number of Digimon that kind of do that. They just don't have wrists. They just their arms just get thicker as they go to the hand, and they just have like these very big club hands. Aina's ears perked up, though her gaze remained firmly locked on the blade.
No, yeah, of course you'd find it funny, Mistress Miss Tess. Paying my respect sure is a fancy way of saying he got the hots for you.
Well, he's dead. Game over. See you next game. Ader barely avoided getting his liver punctured by an extremely flustered Aina. The hours passed by slowly and painfully, for they were completely ignored by any passerby. Well, actually, avoided rather than ignored. It was no surprise. The merchant, Ader's patron, and his mute daughter were two of the most despised people in the city. In spite of the incredible variety of antiquities and smithery the merchant had for sale, no one ever bought a single thing. And there were plenty of reasons for that. Even Ader had some serious doubts about working for the old Barnum man, Barhan man, whose fur was redder than blood, and an albino smith that insisted on dyeing her hair green. Ah, that's what's going on there. The fact that they worked independently from Heirloom's Traders Guild probably had something to do with it too. In any case, it was well after noon that they hadn't done anything but sit around the whole day. Ader pressed his lips together. Ader pressed his lips together and began drumming his fingers against the floor. He looked askance at Aina, hoping his subtle call for attention had stirred her curiosity, but there was no answer. He'd have to be the one to actually break the silence, as usual.
So, hey, Aina. I bet you're still wondering just what in the world could make a hard-working buck like this one get here so late this morning.
Why would you expect her to break the silence? Aina stopped hitting the rock with her blade. She barely moved her eyes toward Ader. Damn it.
Buckle up, because there's a whole story there. This got to stay between you and I. But, this morning...
Got mostly ignored by a pretty lady. Alright, sure.
I ran through a wall. Good thing I have a thick skull, right?
Ader's attempt at starting some sort of one-way conversation fell short. Yet another awkward silence ensued. He feared, in those long seconds of quietness, that his words hadn't been heard. Or worse yet, they were, and he was being ignored. and he was to be ignored for eternity. No, that couldn't be. He'd surely worried her too much.
Of course she'd be concerned. What kind of idiot runs straight into a wall and then brags about it?
I shouldn't have told her that, he lamented, thinking of ways to excuse himself for such a dumb thing.
Ow! What's that for? What? You get mad when I worry about you, and you get mad when you worry about me? That ain't fair, ma'am. I'm gonna get real mad at you next time you punch a wall. Real mad. Please don't punch any more walls. Someone's gotta fix them holes for you.
Fangs out. The best way to define Anna's smile at that precise moment would be terrifyingly mean. While her bad temper was known and feared among the other merchants, it was unusual for her to be so acidic, especially towards Ader. Our dear boy couldn't help but notice this change, and he wasn't going to keep it to himself, of course.
You're acting real ugly, boss.
The smile on her face vanished, replaced instead by a grimace. In response to this affirmation, Ina merely shifted her gaze back to the blade and resumed her task, pretending she hadn't heard him. But if Ader was known for one thing, it was his incessant need to stick his nose in everyone's business.
You scared or something, boss?
A wrinkle formed over her nose as she focused on keeping calm. Ader quickly understood what was irking her.
Now, I ain't dumb enough just yet to go asking you to explain. Just promise me that you're gonna let me know if it's too much for you, okay? One nod, ma'am.
She looked up, pointing at different parts of the crowd with her snout. Then she shrugged, trying to hide under the shade of their stall.
Well, of course it's crowded. It's a friggin' fair. Just what in the name of Hatsa was the patron thinking, leaving you all alone in the stall?
Anna only seemed to become even more conflicted as he said this.
Sorry, I didn't mean... Look, boss, your pa must have thought the same thing I think. That you're the strongest and the coolest and you can do this if you wanna. And you ain't alone anyway. No, ma'am. Ader-sind, son of Gerfaz of the Upperfield's right here for you. All day, every day. Now, come on. How many hugs do the patroness need to feel better?
Ader opened his arms wide, looking for a hug. Instead, he found the tip of a dagger inches away from his big snout. It's a big pivot from blushing smile to murder.
Well, someone don't like to hug in public. I know that now. Got it? Yep. I swear on my one good eye that I ain't gonna forget it for the rest of my life. So, please, ma'am, let me live a little longer.
Ina looked confused for a moment. She dropped the knife in a hurry as soon as she realized that she was still wielding it. The blep. Clearly flustered, she tried to sign some kind of apology, which in turn led to Ader apologizing as well, which conversely made Ina attempt some sort of embrace as compensation. Not a hug, but some kind of embrace. She is jacked. Look at those arms. So in the end, they shook each other's arms awkwardly and called it a day.
Oh, just kiss already!
What are you? What was that? Ader and Ina immediately jumped away from each other, doing their best attempt at looking half professional. A thunderous laugh resonated over the ruckus of the bazaar.
Heligram?
It's respectable Illigrab Buntalos to you, boy. But please, don't hold back on my account. I'll just look the other way. What?
And so appeared the man that was so red it would seem he'd stolen all the color his daughter was lacking.
Patron!
Ah, so he gets the respectful treatment and I don't. I see how it is.
What's that salacious doll cop doing to my daughter now?
They're just strengthening their ties of friendship. Ah, or is this a budding love?
Smack. The merchant shook his cane, hitting Illigrab's twiggy leg with a loud thunk. The tree man just wiggled his mustache in response. This is what they meant by trees? There's tree men? I was like they said the trees carry things, so that immediately made me like, what, are there beasts of burden? What's going on with trees?
Whoa, 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 whoa! Hold up. We weren't doing anything, patron.
That's the problem, you cumberground! You lighter sack! You!
Nope. A coughing fit saved Ader from more old-timey insults, which he could barely comprehend. Once he'd recovered, the merchant put his bearded face next to Ader's, resting the tip of his cane on Ader's chest. He opened his toothless mouth slowly, his breath reeking more like bleach than liquor.
You haven't sold a single thing, have you?
Now, that's hardly their fault, Red.
I'm sure this Yaltson was just frolicking with my daughter as usual!
She's old enough to frolic as she pleases.
She hasn't even come of age yet!
Of course she hasn't. There's no way for her to pass that right.
Of course there is! She just needs to open her mouth and stop being an idiot!
Wow, cool dad.
The only idiot here is the one talking, patron. Ana's just mute.
I wish that rub off on you! And maybe you'd learn to keep your mouth shut when adults are talking!
But I did pass the coming of age right, sir! I got them adult horns and...
Shut up! Don't you have anything to say about this, insolent child? Ana?
She walked away while you two were arguing.
Then why didn't you say so sooner, you overgrown sapling?
She looked like she needed it.
This is all your fault! And yours!
He stabbed Ader's nose with the tip of his finger.
What did I do?
That stupid child's been acting up since you first arrived!
Don't blame the poor boy. She's always had an attitude, and you know it.
I don't care! You two'd better go bugger off somewhere else! Or I swear to Arab that I'll hit you so hard that you'll be cropping at your teeth for a week!
That sounds like a challenge. That sounds difficult to accomplish. Both Ader and Illigrab winced at that.
Now hold up, what?
Come on, Ader! Those two clearly want some alone time.
Yeah, one from the other.
And he'll have plenty of that when I leave him tied to the pyre next time I find a mob outside the shop.
Oh no, you're being carried away by a big, strong man. Illigrab took Ader by the cape and lifted him off the ground as they walked away. I think that's a decent preview for today. The usual struggle with visual novels is, of course, it takes a while to get to like the plot, so you just kind of get a little intro. So mostly you just get to preview the art and the tone and kind of guess from there whether or not you want to keep going. But if you want to check this game out, the Hayseed Knight, it's on Steam, link in the description and all that. And I'll see you guys next time. Oh right, I wanted to point out too that this game caught my eye, which is by the same developer, coming out soon, TM. When does the Gay Lion Man game come out?